Rent to rent is a equalizer. I say it's an equalizer because you can get into property, you can have
without
access.
being capital heavy.
Right.
Yes. I've always been a workaholic from when I was young. During school, I worked 2 jobs. During uni,
And that's the transparency about getting into rent to rent business. And I feel like what a lot of people need to understand is that it's a business. There's a big difference between property ownership and property entrepreneurship.
I've got to be very honest. I didn't like it. Then the systems needed for you not to be too heavily involved. I actually haven't said this out loud before, but I think that's kind of where the spin-off of Bricks with Tips happened.
And I feel like sometimes, you know, as women, we are so monumental to the success of our husband.
I had to be all in with the paperwork, right? So it was like, what does buying actually look like?
Yeah.
Especially because my first time is going to be with somebody else that I'm dating. So
how old are you?
I was.
Hi guys, so welcome to this episode of Women Empowered. Today I've got a really special guest, someone that I hold quite close to my heart, a lovely woman. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a businesswoman. I'd love to introduce you to Antoinette.
Hi guys. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being here. So those that don't know you, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Antoinette Oguntonade. I am a content creator, financial well-being content creator, specializing in property and finance. Started a business with my husband about 6 years ago called Bricks with Tips. And then we started another business called the Home Buyers Club. I'm a property investor, mum of 2. I'm also a business accountant. I wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for joining myself on a pod. First of all, I want to know how I got to know you actually, because that's quite interesting. So basically, your husband, my husband, they do some work together.
Yes.
And I would see your page online, but I didn't know much about you guys, didn't know anything really. And I thought, okay, this looks like a, decent page, this is good information they're putting out. And then I met your husband first.
Right.
I met your husband first. He came to one of our properties when my husband was doing like a event.
Yes.
And then they started working together.
Yeah.
And then there was an event they put together, and then I met you for the first time at that event.
Yes.
And it was just nice because it's like, oh wow, we have so much in common.
Yes.
Our lives are so similar.
Yes.
We have 2 kids, 2 girls.
2 girls.
There's a lot of similarities. And that's where it started. And obviously recently you were co-hosting in my event in Dubai.
Fantastic event. Make sure you come to the next one.
Yes, make sure, guys. I feel like our relationship's just blossomed from there.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I think, and this is exactly why I wanted you on the pod, because I feel like you've got so many strings to you and I want to know more about you. So tell us a bit about your journey. So I know that you do financial influencing.
Yes.
What was your journey into that? Into financial influencing, property and,
So Tyra and I went to uni together.
Right.
We both studied economics at school, at uni. My dad was an accountant.
Okay.
I say we lost him a couple of years ago. He was also a property investor as well. And Ty was interested in that as well. So we were dating from uni. After he left uni, he was like, he's going to buy a house.
Okay.
Obviously being raised by an accountant, I learned how to save from a very young age. My dad was quite strict on my finances. I've always been a workaholic from when I was young. During school, I worked 2 jobs. During uni, I used to work where I went to uni, then I used to come down to London and work as well. So I've always been like a hustler. You earn money, you invest it, you let it grow. I was taught that from a very, very young age. So when Tyler bought his first house, I was like, I want one. My first job as a finance assistant, I wasn't earning a lot of money, but I had a lot of savings from when I was at school, uni. And one of the things that my dad made all of us do, actually, us, my siblings, is we would pay our way from a very young age, just so that we had the understanding that when you get older, you have to contribute to the world, right? You're going to pay taxes, you're going to pay bills. So even though we would earn, or our parents would give us pocket money, it went back. And then later on, our dad would reinvest that back into us. Just life lessons that have been very valuable as I've grown up.
Yeah.
So when I was like, I want to do this house thing, and we decided to do it together. And I got a lot of slack about that online because we weren't married at the time.
Okay, right.
We weren't even cohabitating. We were just dating. I was still at my parents' house. He had moved into the first house that he had bought.
Yeah.
So when we decided to do that, I was all in. But because we weren't married, I had to be all in with the paperwork, right? So it was like, what does buying actually look like?
Yeah.
Especially because my first time is going to be with somebody else that I'm dating. So
how old are you?
I was, this must have been about 8 years ago now. So I was about 26, 27. About 26, 27. So going through that process was quite interesting. And obviously having watched Tayo do it the first time as well, gave me more comfort to do it with him. Understanding the risk, understanding the return, understanding what I wanted to do with the property. Yeah. And my knowledge wasn't as heavy as it was then compared to now. But I always knew that I wanted to buy property. It was just the thing to do, right?
Yeah,
a lot of people say you go to uni, you get married, and you buy a house. It's just part of one of the life things that you do, right? Especially in the UK. But then when you think about it, what is the real reason to it? I didn't know at the time. I just knew that it was something that I wanted to do. So we bought the first one, and we bought that one in Kent. That one did quite well. A couple of years later, we pulled out some equity, bought another one. That one did quite well. A few years after that, we pulled out some more equity from the first one that we bought, and then bought our fourth house.
Okay.
And then at the time, it was every time I would link up with Tayo, somebody's calling him or us about property. How did you do this? How much? I really want to get one, but I only earn this. And I really want to buy in London, but it's not possible. It's not this. So then we were just naturally giving out information as to how we did it.
Okay.
And then one day we were just sitting at home and we were like, we talk about property all the time. We talk about ownership. We talk about leverage, we talk about equity, we talk about mortgages, and a lot of people are like, can you break that down? Can you break that down? I'm confused. I don't understand this. What does equity mean? What does leveraging your property mean? What is even a mortgage? So we were like, just the conversations we're having with our own community, let's broaden that. Why not? We literally talk about it every single day.
Wow.
So picked up a camera, started recording content for YouTube.
When did you start? Like what
that was 2019.
Okay,
just before COVID, so we were doing that. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, not so much TikTok then.
No.
And then we were just growing. Off the back of that, we actually got approached by a commissioner that was putting out a show called The Great House Giveaway. They were like, we've watched
on Channel 4. Yeah.
Like, we've watched your YouTube videos. You've got a heavy amount of knowledge on property. We're looking for property presenters. I was pregnant at the time, so I didn't go ahead. Ty went ahead, and then his career just in property just went up from there.
Wow, amazing. So that is how you got into property influencing. You you bought properties yourself. You started your own property journey, and then people would come to you for advice, and you thought, why not? Let's just put content out there.
Definitely.
Amazing. That's interesting. And how have you found the property journey in terms of growing your portfolio? How have you found that? Has it been something did you feel like you were quite intentional about it, or was it something where you thought, it was just kind of happening and you thought, oh, okay, let's just keep going? Or was it something you set out to do?
A combination. So at the beginning, as I mentioned, property was something that I was always going to do. Always going to get into. My parents owned multiple homes. It was something that I was interested in. Didn't have a lot of information of what they did. I just knew that they owned a home, and I knew that my dad had a buy-to-let somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
So when we decided to buy, we started buying more because of the power of ownership. That's something that I'm really big on, very intentional about. Whether that's property, whether that's business, ownership is so important because what ownership allows you to do is have control over your life. Yeah. It reduces the amount of what people choose to give to you or take away from you. So that's something that I'm really big on, right? Yeah. And my A-levels were actually on the housing crisis. Okay. In 2007. So I had a lot of knowledge around that. So through reading that, I was also seeing patterns. A lot of our white counterparts owned a lot of property, a lot of land. Yeah. That's what made them wealthy. Yeah. Why are we not doing it? Right. And we're not doing it because, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of false information. Buy your house in cash. Yeah. If you buy a property, you're just putting yourself into more debt. Yeah. You don't own it. The bank owns it. Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera. Right. There's a lot of arguments about ownership in the UK. Yeah. However, what I've studied, what I've read, what I've researched, and we had to do a lot of research because even on our journey, there wasn't much information for people that didn't have the help of bank of mum and dad. Right. We did everything by ourselves. I worked 2 jobs. Ty was working multiple jobs, and we did everything ourselves. We leveraged our 9 to 5. We made sure that our skills were up to make sure that we were getting the promotions and all of that stuff, right? So we had to do a lot of research outside of how do you buy a property if you've been given 50k cash, right? Cool. So that's the intentional part of it. We read a lot. We did a lot of work to understand where we wanted to be and why. Why you wanted to be as well. In everything you do, I think you have to ask yourself why. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just a working donkey. Right. You're just doing things for the sake of being busy.
There's no vision.
There's no vision. Purpose, there's no strategy. There's no drive. Right. You have to understand why you're doing it. Yeah. And for me, when we first started doing it, it was about ownership. Okay. That was your big thing. That was my big thing. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of our peers are pressured into doing certain things because of the lack of ownership, because of the lack of wealth. And again, bringing up our white counterparts, I've seen a lot of white people, white women being able to do what they want because their parents had wealth. Yeah. They weren't raised from a point of fear. No, exactly. So sometimes I feel like with us, it's do medicine, do law, do these high-paying jobs that are going to give you security. Yes. Don't necessarily do what you like. Yeah. Now, you pushing me to do medicine when I'm good at art isn't going to do anything for me. No. Yeah, it might bring me a bit of money, but look at what the doctors are saying now. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly, times have changed.
So it gives you freedom to do what you want. Again, bringing in the whole importance of ownership. Yeah. Then our strategy actually started to change. Okay, we've got a portfolio. We've got a portfolio of 7 properties. But there's more. You can do more with than just sitting on them. There's rent to rent.
Yeah. What do you think about rent to rent?
I actually think it's a good model. I think it's a fantastic cash flowing model. Yeah. Now, that's the difference between leveraging your ownership and understanding the property market and then going into something that can generate cash flow.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The thing about rent to rent, I feel like, I don't know if you agree, but I feel like these days rent to rent is a term that's a lot, right? There's almost like over information on rent to rent. And I feel like that can have one of two effects. It could either be like, wow, this is really informative, this is great, or it can somewhat discredit the strategy.
Yes.
And I feel like some now, from what I see, I might be wrong, but my opinion that is somewhat getting discredited because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So people think, oh my God, this is a scam. Is it real? Is it,
Yes.
And actually it breaks my heart so much because, property is not accessible for everyone. Let's get real, to have a 25% deposit to put down on a property, maybe you need 40, 50K start off with. Not everyone's got that sitting there. Not everyone's great at saving like yourself. You've got the background. You had the background to know how to save, how to budget, so you could. But not everybody's got that, right? So it's like rent to rent is a equalizer. I say it's an equalizer because you can get into property, you can have
without
access.
being capital heavy.
Right,
yes,
exactly. And so that's what I wanted to know. How do you feel about rent to rent? Because you started off in property with ownership, right? And then now you are doing more sort of rent to rent strategies.
Yes, yeah.
How are you finding the rent to rent space?
So I started off doing rent to rents with Tayo. Got to be very honest. I didn't like it, and I don't like it. That's part of the business that he runs. He handles.
Yeah. What's the reason why I didn't like it?
Because when we started, we didn't understand the systems needed for you not to be too heavily involved.
Oh, right. Okay.
And with everything that I do, I'm a business accountant as well.
Yes.
So when I first started, you'd have people come in and want this, that done. You'll need that done. Yeah. Where's the key?
Right.
This, the cleaner, the this.
Yeah.
You have to have systems. You have to have strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the Airbnb route, right?
That's the Airbnb route. Exactly. So that's something that I was like, this is too much.
There's so much going on.
There's so much going on. You have to be extremely organized with it.
And I love that you said that because that is honesty and that's the transparency about getting into rent to rent business. And I feel like what a lot of people need to understand is that it's a business. There's a big difference between property ownership and property entrepreneurship.
That's it.
And rent to rent is a business. And business has moving parts. Business has people. Business has customer service. When you own your property, you just get your rent. You have your relationship with your tenant. And that's it. But there's so many more strings that you've got to now. So many more muscles you've got to flex when it comes to a rent-to-rent business.
It's an organisation. It's a system. What platforms work for you? Your timetables, your cleaner's timetable.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? Even using your cleaner as someone that can do your customer service for you. All of those things that you have to think about.
Customer service for the end user.
Come on.
Everything is okay?
Come on.
Do you have you don't have to do that. When you just rent into a tenant, you buy property rents, you don't have to do these things, So I appreciate that honesty.
So that I didn't enjoy much. Tayo takes up more of that business. And then we also discovered something new as well, social housing, social living.
Yeah.
And then HMOs as well for student living. So there's a plethora of different strategies that we use. So some that we own, some that we do direct rent to rent for, where you take the property from a landlord and then you give them their fee at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So from where we've started to where we are now is the reasoning is different, right?
Yeah.
And for both of us, we do this together. We have different whys, and our two whys actually combine very well because now we've got heavy cash flow from it, and we have the ownership with it as well, which is important to both of us. You know, that's allowed amazing. Me. I had both of my children back to back. They're a year apart.
Yeah,
I took 2 years off work. And if you know what the maternity pay is like in the UK, chair, even taking 3 months off work is, you're lucky, And I was able to do that because of property. So people have a number of things to say about property, but one thing that it's been able to give to us is security.
Right, exactly. And I love that you say that, you were able to have your kids and still be financially okay because you had that behind you.
That's it.
And, this podcast is all about women empowerment, women in business. And how do you find juggling being a mother, being a wife, as well as doing your own thing and doing the property, with your accountant, you're an accountant by profession. How'd you find it all?
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I'm the type of person that let's go for everything, because there's only going to be so long that I can do everything for, right? We're going to get old. I'm not going to be able to.
I feel like time is ticking faster these days as well.
Oh my goodness.
What's going on?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I love everything that I do. So as mentioned, I'm a business accountant. I actually I'm a head of finance here in Dubai. I work for a startup here. It's very much like you're a part of the business. That's great. I've been doing it for 12 years now. A lot of people find accounting boring. I find it problem solving, right? You go into a business as a numbers person, you figure out problems for them to make more money.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Property stuff, we've got our property businesses, which Taya heads up a lot more with our businesses that have come from doing property, such as Bricks with Tips and the Home Buyers Club.
Yeah.
The Home Buyers Club is a business that we set up about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we help people go from A to Z in their property journey. So Bricks with Tips, we use that, we leverage that to work with brands, organizations, to get the information out there for people to purchase property.
Yeah.
And that's something that, by the grace of God, I will forever do. I'm big on ownership. I feel like if you want to live in the UK, you want to raise children in the UK, get on the ladder.
Yeah.
Get on that ladder.
Absolutely.
So we work with brands such as Barclays, Bloomberg, Compare the Market, Experian, where we use our information and our audience to really get that message out there so they can start generating wealth.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really lovely about your page, is that it's very much community based. It's very much about helping people. And you know what you touched on earlier about, you know, being a Black British person. You know, most of us are maybe second generation migrants. Our parents moved over here. And the goal of our parents was kind of just to get into a new land, settle yourself, and build up some sort of security. And a lot of times our parents would invest back home as well, right? They'll make money here and invest back home. Not all, but, you know, majority. So us being this stage now, we now don't have to worry about moving and setting up, you know, in a whole new land. And, you know, the level of racism that they probably experience, you know, is still there, but it's not as much as what they experience.
Exactly.
So what now are we doing? Our generation, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Right? So ownership and getting yourself, you know, assets is a priority. But the thing is that a lot of us don't know, right? We're in an age of information. So thank God for the internet and Instagram. So, you know, you're helping. But, you know, there's still some people that are still in the dark about property, you know. So your page is actually doing a community doing a service to the community.
Thank you.
By putting out information, free information. You know, you guys are a good example of husband and wife doing it together. You know, in the UK, you know, so that, I think that's amazing that you obviously passionate about helping people. How, obviously, you're in Dubai now.
Yes.
And, you know, how you finding it, first of all?
I love it. I'm so happy here. I was saying to you earlier that, you know, it's been 5 months now. We moved here in January. And the first 5 months were, oh gosh, the kids, the babies, the transition, trying to make the home. And when we were moving, a lot of people were like, give yourself a year to settle in. I still definitely think we are settling, but my kids are so happy. We were saying to them, we're going home for 6 weeks to London. I don't want to go, mummy. I don't want to go. They are so happy, and we've been blessed to have visitors come. We've had grandparents come, siblings come. So
you guys have someone every other week. Literally. Every single time when I speak to Antoinette, it's like, my cousin's here. Oh yeah, my parents are coming next week. Oh, we've got some friends. So literally, it's lovely because I feel like you've opened the door for a lot of people in Dubai, and even opened their eyes to say, you know what, you can come here too.
Literally, you can come and you can do it too. But I absolutely love it. I love what do I love about it? The weather. I love my home. I love the community that we're in. There's a sense of freedom that I have. I can't put my finger on it. Right.
Everyone says that.
I don't
something
know what
in the air
is, but I just love. Even I'm quite a recluse. Keep myself to myself. I'm very in a box. But I feel like, I love coming to your house.
Yeah.
We're quite blessed that we've got a cousin here. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law is here.
Wow.
And I'm doing that more often than I was in the UK.
Right.
So, for example, I could walk to my best friend's house when I lived in the UK.
Yeah.
I can't tell you when I was last at her house, though.
No. See, that's the thing. I don't know what it is about. And we're not here to bash the UK.
No.
Because you know what you see a lot these days as well. It's like Dubai versus UK.
No, do you know what?
We're not about that at all. We love
that.
the UK.
We do
Absolutely.
love the UK, and it's given us a foundation, right? So we're not going to poop on that. It's given us a foundation.
We love the UK. We love the Dubai. But the thing about Dubai is that it stretches you. That's what I love about Dubai.
Ooh.
It stretches you, right? And I feel like, we're British, we're very proud to be British, and we love the UK. But when wherever you are, if you know that this environment is not serving you anymore, it's time to move. Go. And it may not even be countries. It may be like, I need to move to a different city. Maybe I need to go up north. Maybe I need to go to Scotland or whatever. But, I feel like there's a great alignment going on now. Like, there's a lot of people moving to this place. And I feel like, there's a lot of greatness in Dubai.
Sis, say it again.
Yeah, there's a lot.
The second I landed, the people that I was meeting up with, it blew my mind. The conversations that I was having, it blew my mind. Yeah. Like, I've got a friend here that a friend introduced me to. I think she's about 26, 27. She builds hotels, for goodness sake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think you told me about her.
Yeah. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, come on. Exactly. And it's not like you can't meet these people in the UK.
No, but the access to them.
Right.
And people want to help.
Right.
You talk about something you're doing. Take this number straight away.
Yeah.
And they mean that they want to help you,
Absolutely.
by the way.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Okay, take that. Do you get what I mean? Look at the event that you put on. Fantastic.
Thank you.
People are doing things and it makes you hungry.
Yeah, exactly. And Dubai's quite small.
It is small.
Proximity-wise, it's quite small, which I think is quite a good thing.
Yes.
Because it's like you can just, everything's sort of like half an hour away. Whereas in the UK, you can just drive for an hour or, it's kind of standard to just, those sort of time frames are kind of normal. But I think the proximity, everything's quite dense in Dubai. And I think that's a good thing, to be honest, because you can quickly get to places, quickly see people.
And it keeps you close as well. It keeps you close.
Exactly. I wanted to touch on working with your husband because I work with my husband and I absolutely love working with my husband.
Same.
People ask me, what's it like? Do you not like getting each other's nerves? It's like, well, no, to be honest, like we both have the same goal and we know our strengths and weaknesses and we play to that. Yeah. So how do you find working with Tayo?
I love it. I do love it. We are polar opposites.
Right.
Our personality, even when we started dating, it was like, you're a mouse and he's a giant. Like he will walk into the room, you'll hear his voice and know that he's present. That's true.
Basically. Yeah, that's
he's
very
charismatic. He's very, confident, very sure of himself. Yeah. And we've been together for 15 years. Wow. And I wasn't the person I am today prior to him. I've learned a lot from him. He's lovely. A teacher. And that's what helps being able to work with him, right? He's a fantastic teacher. Our goals are aligned. What we want for ourselves, what we want for our children, what we want for our marriage. We actually, I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
But I was going to his church when we started dating. So I've been part of his church for a very long time now. And we did marriage counselling with our pastor. And during one of the sessions, our pastor said something that really resonated with us. And I think that's kind of where, now that I say it, I actually haven't said this out loud before, but I think that's kind of where the spin-off of Bricks with Tips happened. He was like, marriage, don't just sit at home and raise children and, have dates. Do something.
Go on.
Do something so people can see that this is a kingdom marriage.
Oh, you give me goosebumps. Yes.
Do something. It's
yes.
not just about saying your husband and wife. It's not about having a nice house to live in and raising children.
What else?
Do something.
It's going to get me excited. You know what I'm like when I get passionate?
I know. Listen, this is going to be a 5-hour podcast because you know what it is, especially when we start speaking about the Lord, child.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, I haven't said this out loud, but now that I think about it, we prayed on that session that, Lord, let this not just be for our ears, but for our hearts as well. Let us be doing people. One thing about us is, you know, we hold each other accountable. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. And that's... I can slack a bit in that area, and that's where he holds me up. And you said you were going to do this.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm scared of the camera. But
really?
Yeah, no, I don't
amazing.
really. Thank you. I don't really. You'll probably notice that he's a bit more out there on our platform. I'm like, I don't really want to. Got to put on my content wig now, and I've just got to start. Do you get what I mean? But then, like I said, we realized that we were talking about this all the time. This is something that we had a passion about. So it was like, let's start a page.
Yeah.
That serves the kingdom.
Absolutely.
You can't serve the kingdom from your home.
No.
You can't serve the kingdom from your living room.
No. Absolutely.
Do something.
Together, yeah.
So when, we came together, obviously we talked about it. We've made a couple of businesses from it. And it means that our diary now has to be aligned, very strict. We have to be very, very intentional about us time, kids time, business time, you know, and that kind of actually propelled the move to Dubai as well. Because after he got his contract with Channel 4, I had just given birth. I was home for about 3 days and he was on the road.
Okay.
So he was out of the house 3-4 days a week, every single week for about 2 years, filming his TV show. So, and then off the back of that, we started our businesses. So a lot of the time it was like work, travel, wasn't seeing him for half the week. So we had to be super strict with our time. But in terms of the actual work that we do together, sometimes I look at him and I feel like, you're fantastic. Do you get what I mean? You see your husband in a different light.
Absolutely.
Most people don't see their husband in a working light because I'm not in your office. You're not in my office. I might hear you on a call. You've got separate lives. I might hear you on a call. But I'm like, you're absolutely fantastic. He holds me accountable. We're so creative together. The things that we think of, literally, we can just be having a conversation and I'll be like, right, let me put my wig off, camera. Like, let's do it now. And then let's go.
What would you say to like somebody that's watching, a woman that's maybe got a partner or got a husband and maybe they're fearful of, you know, working with their husband, or maybe they think that maybe they just can't do it, they're just so different. What advice, or, you know, from your experience, how would you address that? Because a lot of people think that, you know, and I don't disagree that, you know, we're different, right? And sometimes they may be more, I don't know, you may be more creative, they may be more like down the professional route, and then you kind of butt heads and, you know, with certain things. But what advice would you give in terms of somebody watching and they're just like, you know, I want to start something, I want to start with my partner, but maybe they don't see the vision, maybe they're not on the same page right now? It's a bit of a loaded question, I know.
Conversation. What do you both want out of it? Why do you want to start something? Is there something that you know you can teach other people? Is there something that you guys know that you have that other people can learn from it? That has to be your first question. And if you're really passionate and determined to do something, write it out, list it out. We've got a whiteboard in the house. List out what you want to do. List out your strengths and weaknesses. Be honest. You have to be honest with each other. Very honest. Like, and that's one thing that I love about Tyro. He's like, I'm running with this whether you're on board or not, because this is sick. If I'm not 100%, naturally being a woman, if I can't see it, or if I feel like you want to buy a house in Hull, like, who's gonna
you'll be a bit more reserved about it. It's normal.
Strategize. Strategy is the key thing to anything. Strategy. Storyboards. What is it gonna look like? You know, and just have clear communication, set time. You know, we had work before Tyra left his job. He was working in banking, doing the Great House giveaway, doing Bricks with Tips. I was working, kids. So we had to say, okay, Monday, Tuesday night, this time is for content.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If your bit is not done, I'm going to get onto you, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
So having a structure.
Have strategy,
Yeah.
have meetings,
Yeah.
check in.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
What is our storyboard going to look like?
Yeah.
What is our content going to look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be content as well. You may be good at cooking.
Right. Exactly.
Do you get what I mean? How do you want to serve?
Yeah.
But I will add this as well. Everybody has a duty, right? I think we talk about purpose. I say we, generalizing that. We talk about purpose a lot.
Yeah.
Something that I always say is, even if you don't know what your individual purpose is in terms of doing, in terms of whether, should I be this, should I be that? Your purpose is to impact your neighbor.
Right.
Is to impact your brother and sister.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do, does it positively impact somebody else?
Yeah, that's a
if
good
it
one.
does, that is your duty.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Make it work. If you two coming together, I've got friends in London, Mrs. Baker, Mr. Cook. One is sick at baking, one is sick at cooking.
Amazing.
They've got a whole catering business together.
Wow, amazing.
Serving the kingdom.
Yeah.
Do something.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing, it's like, when you're husband and wife, I feel like it's definitely not by accident when God puts two people together, right? So there's something in you and there's something in him that can come together and be explosive. And God knows that when he chose you to be together. So it's like spending some time to work on that as well. Like spending some time to be like, right, let's have this uncomfortable conversation. What are we doing, babe?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
No, I don't like that. You're better than that.
Yeah.
You can do more. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, as women, we are so monumental to the success of our husbands.
They call the man the head. The head cannot move without the neck.
Yeah.
Tommy always talks about having that itch that you need to scratch. If you've got an itch, come and get it scratched.
Right. Yeah.
You need to be at the event. It was fantastic. And one thing I must say about your platform and what you're doing is this is a real women's empowerment movement. Okay. I feel like people love to throw out women, but don't actually mean it. This is real. Okay. Whatever you need, you can find it from the community of women that will be there. Whatever you need, you can find it from Tommy. You need a mentor. You have. If you're not with Tommy already, then you're playing yourself, because you need to be building the life that you want to live, not the life that is forced on you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Antoinette. And it's all about, like you say, real, right? Authentic.
Real.
It's no BS. It's authentic.
Real,
right?
authentic, and being in a room with honourable women that just want to build and
better themselves. Absolutely.
That's it.
So, Antoinette, what's your social handles for people that don't know you, if they want to find you?
Yeah. So follow me on Bricks with Tips. That's Bricks with a Z. Tips with a Z.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys. Take care. See you on the next episode.